First of all, can we just check on the team news? Is everyone fit to play, and is Jofra Archer's elbow okay?
Yeah, everybody is fit to play, and Jofra is available for the series opener tomorrow, yeah.
How tough is selection going to be? Do you know the team, and can you tell us?
Yeah, we don't know the team at the moment. The wicket today, another hot day, was under covers. We did have a small glimpse of it, and it looked good. It depends what the groundsmen choose to do between today and tomorrow as to what sort of team that we go with.
In the context of the World Cup year, Owen, this looks a really important series. Can you just sum up how important and how spectacular it could be?
Yeah, I think it's going to be, from our point of view, a learning process going through, I suppose, positions that we might find ourselves in 7 months' time at the World Cup. I think the perfect case scenario is that we're playing against one of the best sides in the world in their backyard. And we know that they're very difficult to beat regardless if they're playing at home or not, but especially when we're playing them at home. So the challenge that's in front of us is extremely exciting, and everybody's looking forward to it.
You've got the luxury of a full-strength squad as well, which was something that Joe didn't have perhaps in the test matches. Do you think it's right that the white ball cricket side is being prioritised right now? And what's your thoughts generally on the rotation debate which has been going on?
Yeah, I think we are very fortunate to have a full-strength squad here, but it's actually very rarely that we have that opportunity. Certainly with one eye on the World Cup in 7 months' time, it is an opportunity to try and replicate teams and roles within the side that we might need to iron out before we get to the World Cup. And given that it's our only opportunity between now and then to get the full squad together due to the demands of the schedule, I think it's a really good opportunity to do that.
You're bringing with you Eoin Morgan, the world's top-rated ICC T20 batsman. He's not played in India before in T20s. What kind of damage do you think he can do here and also in the IPL later?
Here, I think that the upward curve in which David's career is at the moment, to be honest, I don't really know how much further it can go. He's been so exceptional at what he's contributed at an international level. It's scary to think that he could continue to do that and more. So it's an exciting time for him. He's been picked up at the IPL by Kings 11 Punjab, so he will continue on his experience playing in India, which will obviously benefit us come the World Cup at the end of the year.
Just finally, one man who's not in the squad is Alex Hales. He's done so well, of course, in the Big Bash. You made some comments recently about him. Is there any way back for him this year, do you think?
Yeah, I think a lot of players who aren't in the squad have had really good winters. Alex is one of those. James Vince. There are other players that are playing in domestic tournaments around the world. And I think the truth and honest answer is that it's a very difficult side to get into at the moment. I think given the challenges around COVID, what we would normally do if it wasn't around is try and have players that we foresee maybe being a part of his future coming in and spending time around the side, maybe 2 days out before a game around practice. And given the regulations that are being eased throughout our summer, there could be an opportunity for players outside of the squad to come in and be around the team. And Alex is in that boat.
Given the challenges of COVID that you've spoken about already with Jeremy here, is there an acceptance for you that this may potentially be the final time before the World Cup where you have that full strength squad available?
I think the acceptance is already there. I think it's impossible to have our strongest team due to the demands of the schedule and the demands on all of the players to get everybody together at different stages. For the last year and a half in particular, the ECB have been extremely outspoken, and it's been hugely supported by us and the PCA. That player welfare is completely paramount given the challenges around international sport and travel at the moment. And I think that will continue, and I think it should. I think that the toll that it takes without the restrictions is significant enough. and it only, I suppose, holds those strains that the players go through heavier given the circumstances around travel and playing circumstances at the moment.
And do you feel this is a dress rehearsal for October's World Cup? Two sides full of quality going at it in a 5-match series?
I don't necessarily see a dress rehearsal. I probably would if we were on the eve of the World Cup. But the sort of perfect scenario for us is that we learn a huge amount from this tour and then have time to improve. So there's a significant period of time, 7 months, for us to identify areas in which we need to improve. Because yes, we are number one in the world, but one of the areas we need to improve our game is actually playing away from home and against different areas, like playing against spin, bowling in the power play, bowling at the death, different areas that we need to significantly improve in order to be genuine contenders.
And just finally from me, there was a talk about Jofra Archer and that persistent elbow injury, and it may affect his chances of playing long-term Test cricket in the future. How do you see, having played alongside him, how do you see his long-term future in the game? Do you see it only T20, or do you think he's still fit enough to play Test cricket?
From a medical perspective, I can't give you an accurate answer, but I know Jofra's ambition always has been to play Test cricket for as long as he can.
In the development of the team, do you think the bowling is maybe a little bit less advanced than the batting at the moment?
I think it swings and roundabouts. I think with the evolution of the game, naturally, we're seeing higher and higher scores year on year in T20 cricket, which makes it more challenging for bowlers. And I think a lot of the time, it's factual based. So the runs are getting higher, but everybody still scrutinises the bowlers in the same way, which I think is wrong. I think given any circumstance of any day, the best thing you can do as a bowler is try and commit to getting in and out of a situation depending on the situation that you're in. So almost making the most of it, because batting seems to be continually progressing, probably at a faster rate than bowling. Bowling seems to be working in trends, with different slower balls and variations coming in and out of the game at different stages.
And thanks. And in recent games in T20, England haven't taken a lot of wickets with the new ball. Is that something that you're looking to improve on in this series?
Yeah, we'd love to take wickets early, but like in the long-term results of the game, it actually hasn't cost us a great deal. The wickets that we played on have normally been pretty good. Yes, we do strive to take wickets, but we just haven't managed to do that. So we'll continue to both change strategy in things that we're doing, but also trying and get better at being more threatening.
Is there anything on that you talked about, like being more aggressive, or anything that or using Jofra maybe more with the new balls, or anything that you're thinking of doing this series?
Yeah, there are a couple of things, but we'll have to wait until tomorrow. I mean, yeah.
Moeen Ali has had a difficult winter so far. Obviously, he caught COVID, and that ruled him out for several games. And then he had his one Test match back before the sort of discussion over him being rested. I just wonder, as one-day captain, if you can tell us how important an asset Moeen is to you in that setup.
Yeah, I think him, along with Ben, Joe, who's not here, anybody who's an all-rounder who contributes in more than one facet of the game is a huge asset to us. It means they're very versatile. It gives us a huge amount of selection options, and Moeen's experience alone is worth its weight in gold. He's a guy who's been around a very long time, played all formats of the game, also has had exposure in franchise cricket around the world. So having him is a luxury within the squad, and obviously having options to use him at different stages. He's opened the batting for years. He can bat in the top 7 anywhere, and he can bowl wherever, and probably not at the death, but he gives you a lot of options.
And we know obviously that with the nature of the pitches in England in 2019, he dropped out of the team in the business end of the World Cup, but with a decent IPL contract and a subcontinental World Cup, do you feel like this year could be a really big year for Mo with England?
I don't think any bigger than others. I think last year he contributed really well when he had opportunities, certainly in the white ball team. He took on extra responsibility, being vice captain for the Ireland series. He had some match-winning contributions against Pakistan. So, yeah, we see him day in, day out. We see the amount of effort he puts in and the desire that he shows, and it's been as good as it has been ever.
Yeah, I just guess with the competition in India coming up, you wouldn't expect the balance of the team to squeeze him out this time around, would you? In this kind of situation,
I don't think it's squeezed him out. I think just the nature of the trend in the World Cup was to go. It was less spin orientated than. It was more dominated by pace. There was a trend of quick bowlers throughout every team that seemed to be more effective in our conditions than spin. And I think everybody was surprised a little bit like that by that.
How big an asset to you is Jofra Archer as a bowler?
Yeah, he's a huge asset. He's a guy that can bowl in three parts of the game and be threatening whenever he comes on. He obviously has an express pace. He can bowl cutters, variations, and has a very good Yorker. So he's a huge asset, I think, in any format of the game.
There's been the odd comment about it's difficult to know what makes him tick, and that's something he's addressed himself in his column in the paper this morning. Do you find him a difficult player to manage, or do you know what makes him tick as such?
Who's paying Jofra to write articles?
Well, yeah, apparently he writes them all himself.
There we go. What paper? Daily Mail. There you go. Excellent. So he's struggling to motivate himself. Is that what you're saying, John?
No, not saying that at all. He's saying that some people, don't know what makes him tick. That's been a bit of a talking point. Do you know what makes him tick? Do you find him an easy player to manage?
Yeah, I do. I think he's always been engaging. He is a younger member of our squad that has different interests to the majority of our squad, because the majority of our squad is in their late 20s, early 30s. He loves enjoying what he does in traveling, playing Xbox, playing cricket, playing in front of big crowds. And he is a huge family man. So the more I've got to know him, the better our relationship is, but two, the more I've grown to enjoy his company, probably away from the game, because I've got to know him more. But yeah, he's a funny guy.
Just finally, again on Jofra, his performances in the IPL over the last 2 or 3 years would suggest that he can be a big factor in these 5 2020 games, but also the World Cup coming up.
Oh, absolutely. I think if you look at any of his performances as a whole, they all sort of suggest that he would have a significant role to play come the World Cup.
Just wanted to ask actually about some of the players in the squad who might not be in the first choice 11, and how conscious you are about balancing the need to sort of give the first choice guys some game time, but also maybe putting some experience into the likes of Reece and Liam, who haven't played for a little while.
Yeah, so I suppose it's a difficult balance in many ways, and I think opportunities might fall in the lap more so in the one-day internationals, with a longer-term view of developing players and not necessarily compromising the strength of our side, given the quality of player we have on the sideline. So you can't guarantee that when you're trying to select or foresee something that might come up in 7 months' time, who might be the best placed person to get experience into. But certainly I think having a view and a longer term view at 50 over World Cup might be a better suit for those guys.
In a 2020 World Cup year, how valuable would the experience be for England players to play in a full IPL only 5-6 months before a T20 World Cup?
I think it's huge. I think even regardless if the player isn't involved in the World Cup, the development process that they go through just by being there, rubbing shoulders with the best in the world, being exposed to the pressures of being an overseas player in the biggest tournament in the world are priceless in many ways. Certainly the first few times I went to the IPL, I'd never gone through an experience like it. And I've learned a huge amount over the years that I've been there. So the value in it, given the year that's in it, I think is brilliant, particularly now we know it's being held in India.
Thank you. And just one more. In the Test team had their issues, shall we say, against spin in the Test series. Have you got any worries about your batsmen being able to cope with the turning ball, if indeed it does turn in the shorter form of the game?
Here, I think when you break our game down, and naturally as English players coming through, it's probably our biggest learning point that we need to improve on. We don't get exposed a lot to an extravagantly turning ball. Yes, the ball turns, but not extravagantly. But the more guys play under it, the better they become at managing it. So we need to be exposed to it, because come the World Cup, there's a chance that we might play, India's a huge country with completely different conditions at every ground. And in 2016, we actually didn't play on a wicket that turned extravagantly. There were only, I think it was Nagpur, where the ball, did turn significantly. And it sort of raised a couple of teams became unstuck around it. But certainly, it's better to go through this process now as opposed to just in the World Cup.
So firstly, you have a lot of possible opening combinations in your team. In South Africa, you opted to open with Butler and Jason Roy. So could you give us a little heads up on what that combination might be tomorrow, considering Bairstow is also in the lineup?
No.
No comments at all?
No, I can't. I'm not giving you a heads up. It is what it is.
Okay, so as a little continuation to that question, a lot of people have asked you about Alex Hales coming back into the side. So do you feel, apart from Alex Hales, do you feel there is a place for someone like Joe Root to also make a late return to the T20 side, considering that he has not played for quite a while now?
Yeah, I think when we look back at the 2016 World Cup campaign that led to us getting to the final, Joe was a huge part of that. And, due to the schedule and restrictions, Joe needs to rest. He's under a huge amount of strain doing what he does, being our very best batsman and also being Test captain at the same time. So certainly Joe could be an option come the World Cup.
So Virat just said that England, being the #1 side in the world, are the team to beat at the upcoming World Cup. So do you think the same way? And if yes, do you think this is the best group of 18 to 20 players that you have that will help you to achieve that? And if no, how far do you think you are as a team from doing the same?
Yeah, I do. I'd probably replicate the answer. I think India are the team to beat, given we're playing them away from home. I think they're a very difficult side to beat in India. And given that the World Cup is here, I do think that they will go into the World Cup as favourites. So this is going to be a great test for us and a great challenge throughout the whole tour, not just for T20s. And we're really looking forward to it.
So my question was, do you think you have this 18 to 20 players group? Do you think that this can help you to compete well till the later stages of the tournament?
Yeah, I think we'll compete well. I think we have the talent and experience to compete well, but producing it at that time of the year, obviously, there are a lot of culminating factors. So a lot of it's about timing and gaining experience and having confidence in tournament cricket. But I do think we have those attributes. But also, there are some very exceptional teams out there.
Kevin Peterson had recently tweeted about players being unfairly asked about prioritizing IPL. What's your take on the players being constantly asked about this? Even the tournament has helped in developing England's wide wheel players, as you all have said earlier.
Yeah, we've benefited from it massively, and like we're thankful for it. It's been a huge part of our development, particularly in the 50 over campaign towards 2019 World Cup. So with the two T20 World Cups almost around the corner from each other, we're going to continue to participate in the best and biggest T20 tournament in the world, but gain huge experience and confidence from that.
Okay, my last question would be Jofra Archer's workload management has been a huge talking about. How do you ensure that he stays fit for the T20 World Cup, knowing he will probably play the entire IPL and then the 5 test series against India in August, September this year?
I think it's with the 3 formatted players that we have, which are a handful of guys. I think they're managed really, really well. If you look back at the back end of December and most of January, Jofra had off, and there will be different pockets throughout after the IPL into our summer and before the World Cup, where Jofra will be rested and be really well looked after, both physically and mentally.